Welcome to Family Unmuted, where Ruben and Tiana Estrada open the door to their lives as real estate brokers, owners of a family business, parents, and everything in between. This is our world, Unmuted.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Family Unmuted. We're on episode 8, talking about
The Ocho.
talking about finding your why.
Which is a serious subject, but I'm
You're
not taking it very seriously
You're not
today.
serious today.
Well, why are we doing it? Why are we doing the podcast on finding your why?
Well, because until you find your why, you're not going to find any success in anything that you're doing, I think.
Well, I think why is kind of the first base. You really can't start without identifying why you're doing it. So,
Well, and I think everybody has a why. Maybe they just haven't identified it yet. There's a reason why you wake up in the morning and you go to your job or you go to the gym there's a reason why you do the things you do. And most people just do it out of habit or I don't know. But there's always a reason why. What we're talking about today is finding the why that drives you to do it bigger and greater.
the why is what is the energy. It gives you the energy to do what you need to do or to do things that you need to do. And we talk about why as in a singular way, but it actually could be a lot of little whys that create this big why. So, for instance, for me, it's my why as all the different roles of your life. So, a why for being a husband, a why for being a father, a why for being a business owner, a why for fill in the blank. So all those little whys could actually be part of your big why. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So without your why, there's really no purpose, which we've talked about that in our other podcasts, is if you don't have a purpose, then there's no reason why you to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what your why gives you, is the energy, and it gives you the instead of the want to, it gives you the have to. So these are all the things that you have to do in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Which then transforms into you get to. Because as you get clearer in your why, you don't have those conversations in your head anymore. At least I don't. I have to do this. I get to come to work every day and help change people's lives. I get to. So the clearer you get on your why, your whole vocabulary changes in your mind about the way you think of things. But I think the hardest part with a why is finding the time to find it. Because I know for me, I struggled a long time trying to figure out my why, because I literally just didn't have the time to sit down and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to make time for it and really look at yourself and find the things that speak to you and speak to your heart and give you that energy to figure out what it is you're doing on this earth and how you want to do it. So for me, it took a long time because I was just very much in mom mode, with especially when you three were little. Having 3 kids under 5 was a challenging time. I didn't have time to sit down and figure out why I was doing what I was doing. So that's the hardest part, I think, is finding the time to look into your life and what you want it to look like and connect those two, because it's a practice.
I think the other thing that a big why gives you is there's going to be certain challenges, and sometimes big challenges, when you're trying to achieve a goal. And without a big why, the big why will pull you through all those challenges. So, when you don't want to do something in achieving a goal, if you don't have that big why or that big purpose, it's going to be hard for you to keep going, to force yourself through those challenges. So I think that's some of the magic that a big why is needed. Why it's needed is, and the other thing is, It has to be a big why. I just say that normally because that's just the way we talk. But a why can't be really a small why. It has to be sort of a big why because it will have to pull you through some of those things that you don't want to do.
Well, what defines a big why?
Well, that's up to you. So, I mean, that only you can define that. Let's talk about your why. Let's go through this. What is your why?
Like why I'm here today?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Well, it's more like now that I have to like start a life and create a family that like there's no other option for me. Like I have to do this. I guess the why is like my daughter coming.
Yeah.
So I have to provide and just make sure that she's safe, she's taken care of, and it doesn't matter what I go through. As long as she's taken care of, then it'll be okay.
But there's something even deeper to that. Like, why is that your why? And that's what we're talking about. Why is it important for you to be a good father? Why is it important for you to know your daughter's safe? Why are those things important to you? Because, you know, you look in the world right now and there's a lot of people who don't feel that way. They don't think that that's important. So why, again, the levels of your why, you could sit here all day and just ask question after question after question. Why? Until you get to that foundational piece of literally the person that you are out in the world. So
yeah, well, I think it comes like the reason why I want to do that is because like it reflects my reputation to everyone. You know, like if I didn't care about that, then everyone would look at me and be like, why doesn't she have clothes? Why doesn't she have formula? Why doesn't she have this? Like they'll look at me. It's a reflection of me.
And why is that reflection of you important?
Because I care about people's opinion about me. Like I want to have a high reputation and a high standard.
Okay. Zay, what's your why?
I think my why, like looking at it long term, would be like to take care of my parents, just as soon as I can.
Yeah.
I think that's a good why.
So how does that give you? Does that give you energy when you think about that?
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Gives you motivation to, do the things I need to do to, achieve that goal in the long run.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the magic of why. And I've really struggled with this, finding my why. I think it evolves. The longer you live on this earth, your whys kind of change a little bit. But the one thing that's kind of stayed constant for me is just being the best that I can be. And any role that I have in this life is just being the best that I can be. I feel like, God gave me a certain skill set that I think I have a responsibility to uphold. And part of that is just being the best person that I can be. So that's a very general, but it goes deeper than that. So everything that I do, I try to be the best at it that I can be. So, I mean, without going into detail, even the little things.
Well, it's like reffing.
Right. That's a good thing. Yeah. I mean, 4 years ago, I decided to be a basketball official. And I was just telling Mom the other day, I was like, I am just now starting to feel good about the game. I guess that my comment was the game slowing down for me.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's so awesome because before, I do, lower level games than varsity. And that gave me the training to get to the varsity level. And this is the first year where I've like started to feel like things are slowing down. Even though they're at the same speed, it's slowing down for me. And last night I got a great compliment from one of my partners, and it actually really feels good to know that I've gotten to this point where I've worked hard, I've studied, I put in the work, and I went in with the intention of I'm going to be the best referee that I can be because the kids deserve that. And it talks about that. I go into the responsibility that you have in your role is that most of the time it's because your decision and your choices affect other people. If I was a poor ref, that game wouldn't feel the same way. Right? You kind of set the tone, and I think people deserve your best. They deserve that. And I think we have a responsibility to be the best that we can be.
Why?
I think the world demands that of you. Yeah, I think that's kind of the bigger thing. So,
no, yeah.
So with you though, your challenge becomes, how do you know that you're being your best? Because knowing your personality and who you are, and you guys would probably agree, Dad hits a level and then it's the next level and the next level and the next level and the next level. So
it's a goal
will
that you never
ever
hit.
Be your best?
Yeah, no. Which is a struggle because I felt like you're never gonna meet that goal. And there's always,
well, isn't that a good thing?
But you have to keep chasing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
But I think sometimes you read books on, set your goals, and then once you hit your goal, like you're there.
You're done.
Yeah, you're done. Well, this is a never-ending goal that you just to be the best that you can be.
I think it's important. I love that we're having this conversation with the two of you, because finding your why never was on our radar till maybe our 30s.
Yeah,
When
probably.
So for you guys to be acknowledging it and even thinking about it right now at your age is really exciting, because if you can figure it out at a really young age, like, the sky's the limit for you. Because I think so many people operate through their 20s not thinking they have time and it doesn't matter and they'll figure it out later. And I was talking, I can't remember who I was talking to. When I turned 30, it was a big struggle for me.
Yeah.
Which was weird. I didn't expect it. I thought, I'm just going to go into 30. I cried. I was depressed. Like, 30 was not good for me. And I think it was because I realized there's so much crap that I should have been doing in my 20s that I didn't do. And now when you're in your 30s, it's like you're in the real world. Like, it's not cute anymore to not have your stuff together. And so I felt just almost a sense of, like, defeat. Like, dang, I lost some time there. I wish I would have used that time better. And so that's really when I started to kind of figure out my why.
It brings clarity. And when you have chaos and it's murky and you're unclear on where you're going or what you want to do, you need to step back.
Yeah.
And you need to take some time and figure out, all right, well, what's really my purpose? What's really my why?
What questions do you ask yourself to find your why?
Well, I guess in anything that you want to accomplish, you just ask, well, why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? Some people operate more towards, they're doing it selfishly. And some people like to operate, I'm doing it for others. I don't think there's a right or wrong way there, just depending on how you look at it. But I think it's just those questions of, who do I want to become? What skill set? What's the purpose? I mean, those are all the questions that you need to ask.
So do you just sit down one day and just write them down?
Yeah.
I literally did.
Yeah,
It was the weirdest thing, because so if we talk about sort of our progression in our business and as parents, I would say at the time that we had the three of you and you guys were super young and we were hustling, like, we were working a ton. You guys know, you were in the office with us, we were just literally in survival mode for probably 5 to 6 years. Just hustle, kids come with us, we're eating here, literally just in survival mode. So we weren't thinking about anything but just surviving. And when you're in that survival mode, your mind is money driven. It's just, am I making enough to pay the bills? Are we going to make this? Are we going to make this? And then being in an industry that we're in, having that constant stress of, if something doesn't close, we don't have food on the table. So we were just in a very different space for a good period of time when you guys were younger. I think we learned a ton in that, but I literally sat down one day and I just was like, I'm not fulfilled in what we're doing. Like I'm fulfilled with my kids, and I knew that you guys were there every minute and we were together. I was fulfilled in that piece of my life, but all this hustling and working that I'm doing, I was not fulfilled in that. And I couldn't figure out why. And it was just because, first of all, I was putting an amount. I was putting, this dollar amount means that I'm successful, or that we're doing a good job. That's how I measured it back then. And for me, I had to get real again. I had a lot of fear of judgment around my why. Like, I felt like if I said, this is my why, people are going to be like, well, that's materialistic, or that's this. They were going to be very judgy about my why. So I think I said in a previous podcast, that's why I keep my why mostly to myself, because it really doesn't matter. But I was hung up on trying to figure out the why that was going to be acceptable to everybody while still achieving my goals. And so for me, I literally just sat down one day and I made a list of all the things that I wanted to do in my life. I didn't even have a number in mind. I'm like, okay, I want to have no debt. And then I wrote what that number was next to it. And I think I still have this list. It's on that yellow notebook paper.
Yeah.
I wanted to pay off my parents' cars. I wanted to pay off all your mom's debt. I wanted to pay for my kids to go to college. Like, it's a lengthy list. And I just put numbers next to all of it. And there was that bottom number. But for me, knowing what that money was for was key for me. I wasn't just working to make money. I was working to do something for my parents, or to do something for you guys, or to do something that we've always dreamed of. So when you put that label on it, that's what changed it for me.
When you get more specific about it.
Yeah, like I literally wrote down anything that I ever wanted. And some of it was materialistic, and I was okay with that. I wanted a new handbag, and there was a pair of shoes that I wanted, and I wanted a certain kind of car. And I don't feel bad about that. Because along the way, I'm rewarding myself and rewarding others. And so it's just a win-win. There has to be something in it. There has to be something in it for you. You have to feel good too. That's the one thing I've learned as a mom, for sure, that I didn't understand the magnitude of it for a long time. But if I'm not happy or like taking care of myself, I can't take care of you guys. It's that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to make sure that you personally are receiving as well in the process.
How did yours go? Did yours go to anything like that? Did you sit down?
No, I didn't do that exercise. Maybe I should, just to be able to check things off. But for me, it's just about kind of a feeling of, we talked about this, laying your head down at night, knowing that you did all that you could do. And I think we've talked to you about this, is part of having a big why and having that filter, using it as a filter of, should I be doing this or should I be doing this? The answer to that is, if it's in line with your why, then do it. If it's not, then don't. I think there's too much chaos around what your phone's ringing. I think there's too much chaos about what do I need to be doing,
And, does it, if I do this, what we said, going back to that thought was, if you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? And I think that's the power of the why as well, is that it brings so much clarity to what you need to be doing, what you should be doing versus all the other things that you could be doing. Mm-hmm. So I need to get better at that. I mean, that's I'm glad we're having this podcast, because a lot of these podcasts are for selfish reasons, because it brings clarity to what we need to be doing. Mm-hmm. It gets us grounded again around, some of the things that we need to work on and get better at. And that's what we're here for, is to get better every day. I mean, we keep preaching that. If we can just move the needle just a little bit every day, then we're doing something good. So I need to get better about being clear on my why. I think mission statements are a huge thing. Having a mission statement for, your finances, for your family, for your career, for all those things. Having a mission statement so that every time for finances, for instance, every time you're going to go spend $1, it's like, is that really in line with what my why is? And knowing that, should I be spending that $1 or not? Right? So those are just little examples of how why can bring power to your life.
And you'll know you found your why when you can answer those types of questions immediately and not have any reservation. Like, a budget is a bad word for me. I hate budget. We actually don't even say it in our house because it just
causes
brings up
problems.
I don't like the word budget. I don't. But when you have a massively, massively clear why, there are instances where I can be like, you know what? You're right. We don't need to spend that there, and immediately feel okay about it. It's when you're like, it'll be okay. Like, I can spend it now, and then I'll just do that later. You're not clear enough yet. Like, if you can talk yourself out of it, you're not clear enough yet. So your why needs to bring you that much clarity where, like, you make the decisions and you have zero reservations about it. That's how clear your why needs to be.
It's hard. It's very hard.
I'm there on a couple of places in my life, not all places, but that's what it needs to be like. Like, it's just instantly, yes, that's what we're doing, or no, I'm not doing that. That's how clear it needs to be. And I do encourage everybody to either journal or just sit down with a piece of paper like I did and just write out, like, what are all the things you want in your life? I think a lot of people don't even think about it. And again, especially right now, a lot of people are just in survival mode. It's tough sometimes when you're in that space and you just have so much going on and you're just trying to make it to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. But this will actually help you get through those times. So sit down, write down everything you possibly want in your life, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, all of it. Write it all down. And then after you write it down, ask yourself why. After every single one. And that'll bring you massive clarity in finding your why.
The warning after that, once you figure out your why, then it's about who do you need to become. Then it's about the who. Either who you need to become or who you need to get involved in your life to help you become that person. So there's always a who right after the why. And who, WHO, not HOO. So that's the other part of that, is who do you need to become and who do you need to have involved in your life, a coach, an accountability partner, all those things, because most likely you're not who you are today and who needs to, who you need to become later to accomplish those things. Because when you have a big why, that's a different person that you become or need to become, and that's challenging too. So you got the challenge of identifying your why, and then you got the challenge of who do you need to become to accomplish that why.
When you say who do you need to become, what is that? What do you mean by that? Like, just like...
Yeah, that's a good question.
Exposed.
Yeah.
You get exposed.
You do. You get exposed, and like you get like getting real with yourself.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
when I
that's-
made that list and you're exposed and you're like, okay, why am I not doing this?
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I would rather binge something on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would rather eat a burrito than go to the gym. Like you get exposed because when you ask yourself, okay, why do you want that? Then you also ask yourself, why don't you have it? And then you start to realize, like, well, because I'm not living like a person who wants all these things. Exposed.
And then you ask the question, is it really important to me? Is eating this burrito more important than fulfilling my why?
And sometimes it is. And that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I know exactly why I don't have that. But I know who I need to become to have that. So I'm good not having it.
So then you should probably change your why at that point.
Right.
Then your why is
But
not
we've
as
talked about
important
it.
to you.
Yeah, we've talked about it in
Yeah.
business. My business why used to be number one in units, number one in volume, all these accolades, all these awards. And about 6-7 years ago, I was like, I don't need all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had that conversation. Why don't you need that? I don't need that because I know who I need to become to do that. And that's just not what I want to be right now in this point in my life.
Well, when you say yes to that, you say no to other things.
Other things that I don't
and
want to
you
say
have-
no to.
So there you go.
All comes back around.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, that one simple phrase that we tell you guys all the time, it will go with you your entire lives.
Yep.
And you're all experiencing that in your adult lives. We've had very real conversations with you. We've had really real conversations with Isiah. And there are certain things that you guys have had to dig deep and look inside and say, I want to say yes to this, and I have to be okay with saying no to all this other stuff. And that's just an exercise you're going to do forever.
Well, what are these books that you have here in front?
Oh, I briefly showed this last week on our podcast, but getting clarity with why you are doing what you're doing and the way that you do it and who you need to become, that's this book, The Carpenter by John Gordon. Long story short, this guy, the main character, is a very busy tech guy. Him and his wife do startups, and he's just go, go, go. And one day he goes out for a run and has a heart attack.
Oh.
And he has to stop. And while he's at home, he hires a carpenter to come in and do some work. And this carpenter pretty much changes his life with just the person that the carpenter is in his work and how he does his work. And he helps this person realize that the reasons he was doing what he was doing in his previous job were probably not the right ones. And so it offers just some clarity on that piece of it. So I love this book.
I need to reread that. It's been a while. Yeah.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a
short
good-
read. It's a short read.
And it's very easy to read.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you could read this in one day. Yeah, a couple hours, 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So, my book is The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Investor, yes.
Yep.
So, this is an oldie but goodie. It's what?
You love that
20
saying.
years? I mean,
Yeah. that's old.
20 years old.
I came after Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, because part of my why is we sell real estate every day. And the only piece of real estate that we own is our principal residence. And I feel some shame in that. And my other why is, some people say I want to make $1 million. My why is I want to be able to be in a position to give away $1 million. So that changes my mindset. So you have to make more than $1 million to be able to give away $1 million. But so the only way I know how to do that is through real estate. So I'm going to get back on owning my first rental property. I'm going to help other people own their first rental property. And we're going to get back on the path of me giving away, or us giving away, $1 million.
If we can give $1 million away a year, holy smokes! I mean that's a life changer for me.
That's a big why.
It's a big why. It's a big why. So that's why I have this book. And if anybody wants a free copy, hit me up.
I'll take one.
No.
What do you guys see? So we talk about all of this life experience, and we have 44 next
Soon to
week.
be 44.
Years of experience
Of
and
mistakes
yeah,
and failures.
absolutely, absolutely. So when you are, early 20s, what do you guys see as challenges among people of your age? And do you guys think that there are people who think of things in this way in your age group?
I might be hanging out with the wrong people, but I don't see it at all.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people our age.
So
And why do you think that is?
most of my friends are in college or getting ready to go to college or just want to work a standard job.
Or just figuring out what they want to do for their job. or
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like it's not where I am or need to be.
So now that you've been exposed to this, there's kind of a greater responsibility on your part to learn it and share it and train it. And the best way to learn it is to teach it.
Well, that's why I opened the YouTube channel. I wanted everyone to be exposed to what I'm going through because not
Sure.
everyone has it. Not everyone has parents who are business owners or who are talking about their mindset and everything. So I just wanted to share that with you. And whether they listen to it or not, at least it's there and I feel better at night, not keeping it all in. Like I told you guys before, like if you guys retired and didn't like leave anything behind, what was the point on going on this journey?
Yeah, thanks for that, because now we have that extra pressure. I'm like, oh, we can't quit.
Well,
Buddy
some
said-
people would call it a
Buddy
legacy. Yeah.
Well, legacy is important. And there's actually, last night we had a happy hour event, which was a really awesome event. We had a great turnout and caught up with some really great people. And one of our dear friends that was there asked me, how do you do all of this? You have a podcast and you have this business and you're doing this and you're doing that. And I said, it doesn't feel, it's just what I do. I don't feel an obligation. It's just what I do. I don't know how to do it any other way. This is just our way of life. And I think it comes from understanding why we do what we do. That's why I can have that feeling about this.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving to my game. I had to officiate last night, and I mean, I like teared up on the highway. I was driving down I-25, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like, there are people that took time out of their life. Some drove in traffic 30 minutes to come to our event. How blessed are we?
Yeah.
How blessed are we to be able to share those moments and that time with people that I don't take that for granted. I mean, that's what we live for. And it's a great honor to be able to be a part of that. And it's important to us. And I was not in a good mindset yesterday. Like, I couldn't even get a video done. It was like, oh my gosh, what the heck's wrong with me? So to have that event at that time was a blessing, because it was just like, it turned my mindset around. Like, holy smokes, this is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So those things, to be able to have those moments, is like the Super Bowl to us. And I hope we get to continue to do that and do it more and do it better and be able to have a business that funds that and to be able to give it all away. Give it all away. That's it. That's my why. So here we go.
No, it was an amazing event last night, and just to see all the hard work you two put in and to see everyone come, and the outcome of it was amazing. Everyone, it was networking, everyone was meeting each other.
Yeah.
And it was just something special to watch, and yeah, like you said, don't take it for granted. Like,
Well, and we had our littles there, and my mom was there, and it truly just to have like our whole Y in one room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And a couple people that weren't there that couldn't make it, which, got text messages and saying, hey, this came up or this came up, and, and apologize that they weren't there, which is huge. I mean, geez, who cares? You don't have to apologize to me. We missed that you weren't there, and we missed a couple people that weren't there. It's just, but we understand. That's why we understand how important that those that could make it, how much more of a sacrifice and a commitment that was. And that's huge for us. Huge.
Yeah.
So I think the why needs to be continued because it drives everything.
Well, and apparently your why should make you cry.
It should be called a cry instead of a why.
If your why makes you cry, then
There's some power behind that.
Something.
You're right. So
Yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah. Great episode.
Yeah.
Great episode.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Till next time.
Go find your why.